Okay, so Weezer, the Blue album. I got a little Wikipedia here. So the Blue album was released on May 10th, 1994. Major label release on DGC Records, so David Geffen, and it was produced by Rick Oskosk. Yeah. So Rick Oskosk, he was main songwriter for the Cars. Produced a lot of the records. He did vocals on songs and stuff, but he wrote all the hits for the Cars and produced this album for Weezer. Well, we got Weezer, formed in Los Angeles, 92. Initially struggled to engage audiences who are more interested in grunge. You'd think they would be a grunge band at that time,
Well, they were more poppy, but did you hear the rumor that Rivers Cuomo was Kurt Cobain? Have you heard that one? So Kurt faked his death and became Rivers.
Well, they look nothing alike.
That's
a stupid rumor.
That's a disguise, though, right?
Was Kurt dead at the time?
Yeah. When did you say it came out in 94? Because Kurt popped himself in 94, in April.
Did he?
And Weezer was when? May.
You might as well say it was Elvis. It's different. He's quite a short little fella, isn't he? Rivers?
He is, yeah. But he had.
I don't think Kurt was very big.
He was also left-handed and Rivers is right-handed. So we've debunked it right there.
Maybe he's ambidextrous. I don't know.
That's true. What I do know is that Rivers had one leg longer than the other. I know that much.
That's fairly common, isn't it? That happens.
Well, hey, and if it leads to a great album like this album that we're talking about, Blue, then it's okay.
What impact do you think his long leg had on making this album?
Well, a slanted impact.
Yeah, maybe it's just looking at the world 2 degrees skewed to the left. How does that impact a human being?
Well, it obviously did. He had what I like about Weezer early on anyway was that he wasn't singing like he was a nerd. He just was a nerd writing songs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In my garage. Goddamn I am, yeah. Goddamn I am. Just great lyrics. And
I got my 7-sided dice.
That's right. Yeah.
And he was a total metal dude. He was like a Judas Priest kind of guy, Dio, Black Sabbath.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
Really, I think he kind of also very much into pop songs, ABBA and all that, and he just put that mix together and came up with Weezer.
Yeah. But, 94, a good time for it to come out, sort of grunge had peaked. And blues sort of there's still those dirty guitar tones, it's real, you could call it grungy, but it's real bubblegum poppy too, though, right? It's real catchy, kind of, Buddy Holly, which was the big hit. That was real sort of 1950s style.
It was a pretty slick video with the Happy Days set, and
yeah, that's right.
Putting themselves into the set of original footage of Happy Days.
At Arnold Dave, is that the name of the place? Yeah.
Yeah.
And the Fonz was there dancing. Yeah, that's right.
They're a lot more slick than the other bands, weren't they? But musically, it's kind of in that grungy kind of a tone.
Yeah, quite loud. I mean, what came as it got it there? What came first? Was Buddy Holly the first single, or was it Say It Ain't So?
Buddy Holly was the first song, I think. That was the first song I heard from him. And I remember getting a computer with Windows 95. And that video came on it. Buddy Holly came installed on your computer.
Yeah. See, so that's why Weezer are big, because they're in with Bill Gates. Is that what you're saying? Because
It's
anything
definitely a
like any,
conspiracy theory.
for a new band to come out and hit it big, you've got to have a side hustle. It's either you're on a film soundtrack, or every release of Windows 95 is our video capabilities, and it's Weezer. That's sells itself.
Mm. Anyway,
but I continue.
Okay, so guitarist Jason Cropper was fired during recording as the band felt he was threatening their chemistry, and he was replaced by Brian Bell. So I found a little more on that. So this Cropper guy learned that his girlfriend was pregnant. He began acting erratically. He wasn't handling it well. He said he was fine, and then 20 minutes later, he'd end up on the roof of Electric Lady's studio screaming or something. So Kumo told him he could not allow him to jeopardize the recording of this Blue album and asked him to leave. And Cropper said Kumo made the right decision. A little bit of drama. So
was he
kicked out.
Did he record any parts for the album, or no?
I believe from memory reading that I think he came up with the acoustic intro to the first song.
My name is Jonas.
Yeah. And some other little bits like that are still him on there, but then he was kind of kicked off.
I think, yeah, okay. What was his name? I think I saw a video
Jason
recently
Cropper.
on YouTube. Yeah, he did an acoustic set with Rivers like this year, like a reunion thing. And they did a couple of songs that they wrote together. It was cool.
A lot must be going on if you're on the roof of the building screaming during the recording of your album.
You're not a famous musician if you haven't, gone up on the roof of the building and yelled stuff, right?
Is that enough to kick someone out of the band, or do you just go, hey, sit it out for 5 minutes?
Well, I mean, if you'd made a scene during the recording of our album, I had no replacement, so I would have, we still would have gone ahead.
Yeah, he clearly wasn't like an essential part of things, was he? Like replace,
no,
delete.
Yeah.
What else we got? So, Blue Album was supported by the singles "Undone," the Sweater song, Buddy Holly.
Yeah, that must have been first. Undone was first, right?
I remember that one coming later.
Yeah, maybe here, but because that was the music video where it was in a big blue room and the dogs are running around,
Yeah, slow motion.
Yeah. I think that, I reckon that must have been the first one I heard. And I thought,
Rivers
this is a stupid song.
Maybe it was first, because Rivers has a big mop of hair in that song.
Yeah.
Like it's giant. And then in the Happy Days thing, it's quite a short, reserved, short back and sides haircut, slicked down.
It's true.
Yeah.
But hair grows as well, so he could have had it short and then grown it.
I'll have to fact check that, I guess.
I remember when it came out, hearing it, my older brother, he was a bit more hipper to the music than I was. 94 was probably, fear of oversharing. 94, I was probably at the tail end of my Roxette phase. And like Green Jelly and Ugly Kid Joe, and moving into, Nirvana Unplugged, getting into Nirvana. My brother was all, Pearl Jam, Weezer was in there. But I remember seeing the video for the Sweater song, Undone, and thinking, the sound, the tone is cool, guitars sound cool, but what are they singing about? This is pointless. This is dumb, right? At the time.
Really?
Now I think it's one of the raddest songs they did. Super simple, but it's so badass.
I was in my thrash metal, Metallica, Anthrax, Slayer, and the grunge thing hit. Like Nirvana hit. I didn't want to listen to them. I didn't get listened to the album for like a year until I thought, okay, I have to listen to it, kind of thing. Like I didn't want to know about the hit new cool thing for a year,
Yeah.
and I listened to it, and I thought this is awesome. Pearl Jam, I liked a lot to begin with. They're pretty good, but I like Nirvana better. Weezer came along. I really liked them straight off the bat, but I didn't get the
Mm.
album. But I liked the singles, but I wasn't so much into the album, I guess. But I did like the lyrics. I did like he was telling these little stories like Buddy Holly, and it seemed like they were a tongue-in-cheek kind of a band. They weren't taking it that seriously
Mm.
um, with Buddy Holly. But Say Ain't So, that was an epic song. Like it's very heartfelt, you know. There's
Yeah.
just so much emotion into that song, and it's really telling a deep and personal story that you find out years
Mm.
later. And I don't know it's a deep and personal story, but at the time you can feel it, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah, like again, that old brother. I remember stealing this album, the CD, back when we had CDs, and that was on, sort of high rotation when I was doing homework in high school. It's just the Blue album went from start to finish over and over again while I was doing fucking science or whatever. And so it just sort of got in by osmosis. I didn't have it wasn't like, oh, I love Say It Ain't So and I love the Sweater song. It was kind of like just the album's on. And when it plays now, when I listen to it now, it sets the scene for, shit, me being 15, 16 and in high school, which is great. It's a good time. But you're talking about the lyrics. That's the stuff he's singing about relates to a kid in high school as well. He talks about bigger issues and his father issues and all this and that, but it's a lot of just, I'm a nerd and chicks don't like me. I like D&D and I listen to Kiss.
Yeah.
And I was like, that shit appeals,
Yeah. It was more
So
regular
yeah.
folk stuff, whereas Pearl Jam was very poetic and, whereas this was
Pearl
pretty
Jam
much
was,
just telling your friend what's going on.
that's it. And Pearl Jam was real angsty and dark. And honestly, I didn't have a lot of that until after, like when Weezer came out, this is for me, it was just like peak teens, right? Early teens. It was all happy and sort of sing alongy and enough sort of edge to it. And a lot of, oh, that girl doesn't know me, I'm invisible or whatever. And so it hit the mark. And it wasn't until later that, like Corn and the in utero sort of stuff really started appealing to me. Tool and all that sort of stuff was after Weezer, So there was that pre sort of clean rock is how Weezer hit me.
They felt like, in a way, they were the replacement of all those pop bands that got rid of, like, say, Paula Abdul and all of that went by the wayside. And it was very much rock music, and Weezer, while they weren't maybe the serious band like Pearl Jam, they were more that they were light affair. They were easier to get along. They're more tap your toe. They had great melodies. It wasn't a big serious dark affair, all the time.
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, a track like they finished the album, Blue finishes with Only in Dreams. And that shit's that's sort of, I wouldn't call it super dark, but it's a hell of an epic song, It's definitely not lollipop stuff. Which their singles were, but yeah, I think there's a good mix
well, they're
across
much
the board
more
anyway.
a singles band than say Pearl Jam,
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Because just think about it, they did have a lot of variety where they would have reggae guitars, they'd have the acoustics, they'd go heavy, they'd have Only in Dreams, like you say, which gets quite epic and builds and flows and evolves. and then they just have these simple, catchy songs. And it really just says a lot about how talented Rivers was and how big and ambitious they were, but still wrote singles and still, I guess in a way, do get that reputation as being more lightweight, even though they are quite profound, large at times too.
But it's, I mean, it works in that, like Nirvana, talk about Nirvana. If I compare that to Weezer, both have real simple like chord structures. There's nothing over the top, like if you're just learning guitar, you're going to learn some Nirvana songs, you're going to learn a couple of Weezer songs because they're all so simple. If you're having a first jam with new musicians, it's easy to go, hey man, say it ain't so, or hey, here's the 3 chords of the Sweater song, and they're easy to get. But within that is, and sure, I don't know what makes a classic song, but within those simple structures, they create something that we're still talking about, 30 years later?
But also, it's a very well-produced record where you can very cleanly hear each part, which would make it easier to learn the parts to it, and just really well produced by Rick.
There's something in there in the guitar tone, man. Like it's some kind of mix of clean and crunch, and there's weight to it, to like just the main guitar and the way it sits with the bass and the drums. It's all real clean. Everything's got its place, but it's just done perfectly. And they tried to recreate it, and other bands have tried to do it later on. But that Blue album, it just, something hits right about that tone. And if I could get a pedal that said, here's the Blue distortion sound, I'd be pretty happy.
One thing I read about that is when they went in to record the album, they said they wanted to sound like a 10-string monster. And so 6 strings of the guitar and 4 strings of the bass guitar.
Yeah, right.
And so what that means to me, having a little musical knowledge, is knowing that if you play a C chord, you get a C, G, and an E. And that's what the guitar is playing. And then beneath that, the bass will play a G below the C. So now together that becomes a C over G chord. And why they do that is because of clarity, because the bass, normally a bass player would double the lowest C note, but you get the bass player moving down to the G and it makes a G over C chord. And that's how you get the separation and the cleanness of the frequencies. So when I read, they said they wanted to sound like this 10-string monster. And then listening to the album in my headphones, you can hear that clarity of where they've separated the guitars and the bass and said the guitars are in these frequencies, the bass is down here in these other frequencies. And together it makes a wall of sound. And the guitar playing is extremely tight. And it just does have that wall of sound to it.
But then, that's made up of God knows how many guitars they're overdubbing with that, the tone between Brian Bell and Rivers. They set that sort of mid-range. And then I forget the original bassist name. He was the man, by the way, sitting in underneath. It just all worked. Yeah, just sat there. But then, then he drops in these killer solos as well. Like there's real almost metal solos. You said he's a metal guy, and he's he could just, even simple little licks that are in Blue, nails it, man. A guy can play guitar for sure.
Yeah, I've read about where they've said Rivers will come in, do one take, it's perfect, and then just walk away and say, I'll fix it later. And they're like, that was incredible. What are you talking about? Excellent guitar player. And I'm watching videos. He's doing this tour now where they're doing he's playing a Jackson flying King V. They're doing a real 80s thing. He's doing the 80s double tapping on the solos and stuff. He's got a big mullet. He's a really good guitar player.
Yes,
and it's all very tongue-in-cheek. So
let's not talk about modern Weezer. Don't want to go there. How long do we have?
Yeah. Well. So last bit of information I got here is so the videos became MTV hits, reached number 16 on the US Billboard 200, certified triple platinum in 95. It remains Weezer's best-selling album, having sold at least 3.3 million in the US and 15 million copies worldwide. Received critical acclaim, and in the Rolling Stone, it's 294 on their list of the 500 greatest albums of all time.
Oh, top 300. Yeah, banging.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely a good one. I think for me, obviously peak Weezer is the first two records, Blue and Pinkerton. It's a toss up for me, which one's the better album. I think Pinkerton's probably more me. I'd listen to Pinkerton more than the Blue album. It's just a little rough around the edges. There's a lot more of that. He goes deeper into that I'm invisible, girls don't like me kind of stuff. And I think, again, that hit at the right time. But Blue is an easier one to go back. You could put it on at any party and people are going to go, yeah, I know this song, even if it's not one of the singles. I think it's a pretty recognizable sound. Classic album.
Yeah, my thing's frozen up here. I was going to have the track listing.
It's fine. Technical difficulties.
What would you... Is it a perfect album?
Nah. Let's talk about, there's, 10 tracks on the album?
Something like that.
Well, let's say there's 10.
My name is Jonas. No one else. The world has turned. Yeah, 10 tracks and left me here. Buddy Holly, Undone, the Sweater Song. Surf Wax, Say That So, In the Garage, Holiday, Only in Dreams.
Okay, so here's a thing called the skippability rating, right? So there's an album of 10. So when I listen to that album, how many songs would I skip, right? And that's going to give me on a regular basis, if I listen to it, what songs would I be like, yeah, I'm definitely, I'm listening to that. I'm not skipping that. I'd give this probably an 8 out of 10 because Surf Wax America can get stuff. I don't like that song. Sorry to the fans.
My notes that I have written here is don't really care for it. It's cheesy.
You get the Surf Wax, and then there's I wish I had it in front of me. And there's one other song though. It starts off banging. My name is Jonas. Solid Weezer song. Great opener.
My name is Jonas is banger.
So well, that's it.
We agree.
You try and think of a song that gives it's an opening statement for a band. This is their debut album. What are we going to put number one? What's going to set the scene? What sets the tone for Weezer? My name is Jonas. Pretty good choice,
Yep.
World has turned. Great song.
Yeah,
just catchy, hooky. But yeah, Surf Wax, and there's one other one in there. I think, is it Holiday? No, is that Surf Wax America where they go Holiday?
Yeah, Holiday. Yeah, Holiday is another song.
The other. I'd skip that one too. So those are my two. So the rest, when I put the album on, pretty sure I'm listening to it. So 8 out of 10. That's a pretty good rating. And out of those 8, Undone, Say It Ain't So, bona fide, Rock 2000, they're in there for my votes. They're just 2 solid Weezer songs that I'd rate as absolute classics.
If I run through my list, I got My Name's Jonas, banger. No One Else, nice catchy love song, pop punk. The World Has Turned and Left Me Here. I really like that song. It's great. Mid-tempo. Really good. Buddy Holly, love it. First song I heard of him.
Buddy Holly. Yeah.
Great organ in it. Love the organ. Sweater Song. Emotional as well as catchy, layered. Surf Wax. Yeah, bullshit. Say don't so. Triumph on every level.
Yeah.
Those guitars, that's just awesome. In the garage, love it. Personal, great solo. Holiday, not the best. Album starting to wear out for me. Heard the best ideas already. But Only in Dreams, I thought great chorus, great closer, mellow builds, soaring ending that weaves its way in and out. Terrific. That's a great ending. So it's like if you delete two songs from, I think for both of us, like now it's perfect.
Yeah, that's it. I think, you talk about Only in Dreams again. I think it's one of the best album closers. Again, I mean, My Name is Jonas. I wouldn't call it the best track one, side one of a debut album, or just of a first album. But Only in Dreams, man, that's a good way to end a record. That's up with me for like, might not be on the same page, but the Doors first album finishes with The End, right? The End, that big fucking song about, that's probably one of the better enders. But Only in Dreams, I feel, is kind of similar in that the rest of the album's kind of these poppy, hooky songs. And then Only in Dreams is more of a bass driven, like cathartic epic.
I agree. In a way, for me, it's like, it's just the perfect way to end the album, the perfect closer. It was great. And like I say, at the point of Holiday where I'm like, I've heard this album, I'm done. in comes Only in Dreams, and you're like, I'm back and on board straight away. This is a great song.
It draws you in with that. It's just a real simple bass intro, right? And then it builds and builds and builds and takes you on that little journey. And then sort of, it's done. You have that breather, and then you're like, play again. You put the needle back on number one or whatever. So that's what you want in an album.
41 minutes long, that album.
Well, it's two songs too long. It should be 36 minutes, right?
Yeah. Filler? Is it filler, or is it for someone else these are the greatest songs ever?
Absolutely. For someone else, Surf Wax America is the greatest song in the world, but not. I think those two feel like, cool, this is our first album. We've, let's say we've written 6 bangers and they come up with a couple of extras during the recording sessions. And then this is just B-side faff, because you've got to have 10 songs on an album, right? Can't get away with 8 songs on an album. Watch the hate mail flood in.
I remember some of the guys we used to hang out with back in the day. Surf Wax America was a popular song because they were surfers.
Sure. I mean, look, it has. I used to like to get wet in the ocean too, but it's so like, it's almost like the Beach Boys singing about fucking surf and safari, right? Like, they weren't surfers, but they were singing about it. For me, the Beach Boys, that was their fluff. And then Pet Sounds and that peak period wasn't really surfy stuff in there. And Weezer, when did they ever write another surf song? Did they?
I don't know. Yeah, I guess for me, it's an 8 out of 10 as well, but then it's like delete 2 songs and I give it a 10. I can't find a problem.
Sure. Yeah. Easily a classic album and deserves a place in anybody's collection.
Yeah, great album. Talented musicians, well played, brilliantly produced. Maybe just waffles on a little too long, and it's only 41 minutes long.
Yeah, but that's easy for repeatability. Short and sharp. Get back to the start again, learn the songs, get amongst it.
Yeah, and kind of an iconic album cover too, just blue and the boy standing in front of it.
Yeah, probably came out of budget concerns and turned out to be an iconic album cover.
I did learn they shot that album cover, then one of them complained because he didn't like his photo, so they had to Photoshop a new head on from
There you go.
another frame. So maybe this it's a major label release. David Geffen Company. I imagine like they had the money to do something slightly better than standing against a blue wall.
Yeah, I don't know, but I guess at the time, rock bands were still hot, were they? I don't know. Kurt was dead, grunge was dying.
Well,
94
rock
wasn't
ruled
it? The
for a
Spice
long
Girls and
time
shit.
after Nirvana, though, didn't it? Like we still got to get through all the derivative shitty bands. Like,
did Dookie come out in 94 as well? That was 94. Green Day.
It was all around that era.
Yeah, it was a good time. What a time!
Thanks for listening to Pointless and Confused. We believe there's a little thing where you can send a tip if you want. We have no idea how it works.
We need cash.
Yeah, for whores.
And Vegemite.
Yeah. And what
Good day.
No, you got to tell them the other thing.
Oh, what was the other thing?
Subscription.
Look, you could subscribe if you want to hear the sound of our sweet, sweet voices in your ear. Whenever a new episode drops, you'll be the first to know.
Yeah, we're not sure how you do that either, but you'll figure it out.
We're new to this. Come on, you guys.